Punting the ball 50, 60 yards, kicking the ball not even through the uprights with those goggles.
The Indianapolis Colts. Let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody likes to talk about Jonathan Taylor this and Jonathan Taylor that, but Jonathan Taylor likes to also get injured a lot. And I see that continuing this year. I think he spends his whole season again trying to race back through injury. Anthony Richardson, I like the draft pick. Unfortunately, I'm concerned that he might be a big flop at this point. Not saying he's done anything to be a flop, but I just don't see it working out. They don't really have too many weapons for the man. I think Pittman's their best option. Other than that, I mean, Alec Pierce, most other teams, he'd be a 3 or 4, and he's a number 2 there. And defense, though, I think they have a really good defense, and I think that's the bright spot of their team. I think there's a lot of people on that defensive line that are going to make some teams very mad.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson definitely was an interesting pick. We knew whoever picked him, it was going to be interesting no matter where he went. Personally, I do think the Colts was a good landing spot for him. Shane Steichen has a really good scheme. He managed to work with Jalen Hurts. He kind of was similar in that Jalen Hurts wasn't exactly a polished passer coming out of college. His accuracy in deep passes was not great, and he's improved significantly. So getting someone under that system to coach up Anthony Richardson was a huge move. This year, I'm curious to see how accurate he's going to be. I don't think he'll be that accurate. A lot of his damage this year will be running the ball. And that's why, you mentioned Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is going to be key. He needs to stay healthy. Last year was not a good year. The year before, he was fantastic. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to look. The offensive line, what is it? Is it actually going to be good this year? Because a couple years ago, they had one of the best lines in the league. Didn't really have a lot of changes, and all of a sudden, it was terrible.
Also, shout out to Pat McAfee. I'm sorry I don't have a jersey on for you today. I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, you're left out of this. You did not have a Pat McAfee jersey. Come on now.
You did not go to Kohl's and get a discount.
Yeah.
No one told me.
Yeah, we did find these at Kohl's randomly.
They had an Updog meeting at Kohl's and they didn't call me this time, guys.
No, Justin went, bought it, and then I Vizelled him.
I kid you not. This is 6 years after he retired, and there was randomly 2 Pat McAfee jerseys at the Kohl's. That was the most random thing ever. But yeah, finishing up the offense, like you said, Pittman's pretty good. I'm not sure if he's one of the best number 1s in the league. Alec Pierce, it has potential. I'd like to see him continue to develop a little bit more. They don't really have a lot of weapons outside of that. They have some massive tight ends who occasionally made plays, but getting them involved more consistently is key. Defensively, I do think they're good. I'm not sure if I agree that they're completely studs. The pass rush isn't fantastic. They need to get a little bit better there. What is it going to look like without Ngakwe there anymore? Kwity Paye
still available, so they could pick him up.
Technically, they could, but we'll see. They haven't indicated they wanted to so far. But Kwity Paye was a first round pick last year. He needs to step up. Getting Shaq Leonard back. Sorry about that, Chad.
No, I apologize.
Getting Shaq Leonard back is going to be the biggest thing, though. They sorely missed him last year, so getting him back is going to be huge. I am concerned about the secondary, though. Kenny Moore is not playing as good anymore. Stephon Gilmore was the only corner that played well last year. He's gone. Their safeties are all right, but I'm a little bit concerned about the secondary. Matt, what are your thoughts?
This whole team is just in shambles. Receivers, the only thing that I like about the receivers is Alec Pierce is super underrated. And the fact that Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman Jr. already have good chemistry. They were in a parking lot just tossing the football back and forth with each other when they actually technically were not allowed to.
I love all-season stories.
Their offensive line on paper should be the best offensive line in football. When you apply it to actual videotape, though, they were terrible last year. So can they stay consistent? Bernard Raymond, I think, was a big part of why they were terrible last year. He did not play like a first round pick. He needs to, or a third round pick. I'm sorry. He didn't even play like a third round pick. He played like a seventh round lineman. But he's got to step up. Quentin Nelson has to go back to being the best guard in the NFL. Otherwise, they're going to rely on Jonathan Taylor because Zach Moss isn't doing it. Their fifth round pick, Evan Hall, isn't doing it. Jake Funk isn't doing it. They don't have any depth on offense. None whatsoever. One person gets hurt, that team is just going on a losing streak. Defensively, I forget who it was last year. They sold off a bunch of big names. I think it was the Broncos. But I think that's what the Colts are going to do. I think they're going to have to start selling off some of their aging stars.
You could argue they already did. I mean, trading away Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys was one of the moves. Ngakwe didn't really trade him; they kind of just let him walk. But other than that, they don't really have a lot of talent left. Shaq Leonard, I think, is young enough that they're just going to keep him as one of the kingpins of the defense.
Assuming, because I have not looked at this, assuming the Colts have a first round pick next year, I think they're going to be tanking for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Ooh, now that would be really good.
That would be really good.
That would be.
Remember, the Cardinals
in order to do that,
top 10 picks, basically.
Huh?
Don't the Cardinals basically own 2 top 10 picks?
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
So I think they're going to try to move on from Shaq Leonard and DeForest Buckner just so they can get the draft capital so they can move up in the draft and get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Be a good move.
Otherwise, this team probably fighting for a top 5 spot. And Rigoberto Sanchez and Matt Gay are just going to hold it down on the special teams. Putting the ball 50, 60 yards, kicking the ball not even through the uprights with those goggles.
Oh, my.
We don't have to talk about the Colts anymore. They're basically pre-Peyton Manning Colts now.